In this video, I decided to jumpstart in Daily Race A, Daily Race B. It all gets a bit chaotic as we have a near spinner, and in Daily Race C, I send it around the outside, but forget, I'm on cold tyres. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Gran Turismo weekly race guide here in 2025. Week 20 and rallying returns in terms of the racing. And you can see that in the background now as we race Sardegna Windmills in Group B. Doing 6 laps here, a grid start with a false start check, which is going to be funny when you watch the race, as well as bot being on. So of course you can apply liveries and do all that stuff. However, the balance of performance is set there. Now, if you don't like this video, as always, there are some timestamps there. You can jump to Daily Race B or C, respectively, if you do not like the rallying in Gran Turismo 7. However, we are going to be doing this race, and in terms of the key statistics, we've used this track 3 times. Once we've done this track and car combo. It's definitely not in the top 10 used combos, and we last used this track on the 25th of November, 2024. There is huge weight transfer with some of the cars, and the jumps feel crazier than normal. I don't know why. Maybe it's just that I can't remember them in the past. However, do expect to go high and fly, basically. Literally, the front end will lift up completely. You feel like you're going to flip. Without further ado then, let's jump into this race. Let's have a look exactly what happens. And apologies, I've got a bit of a cold, so I might sound a little bit weird. Right, here we are then at the start. Shadow starting pole. Remember the old rally saying, if you want to win, hire a fin. Well, Shadow is in the lead right there. Now, I'm pressing the wrong button right now. I always say hold the handbrake. I'm accidentally pressing the wrong button here, so I just go flat out at the start and do the biggest jump start in history. But hey, there it is. We eventually get going. I try and get out of everybody's way here just to make sure that I am not causing problems. But here we go. We kick off this race now, starting at the back because I was messing about with buttons and pressing the wrong one. I was pressing square rather than circle because that circle is my handbrake button. Anyway, we're going to head down towards this fast right-hander here as we chuck it in. We've got some Audi Sport Quattros in there. Forward Focus. I do like the Focus Group B car in this one. I'm in a WRX right now, if I haven't already said that, as we continue through this long left-hander. Getting sideways. Now, with rallying in Gran Turismo, you actually don't want to get too much sideways here. It's all about forward momentum. The more sideways you go, the slower you're going, actually. So we're going to go towards the jump here. Going to chuck it towards the inside. And then we're going to try and accelerate out of here, going sideways. But somebody on the right-hand side. Oh, Huggies there has gone into the barrier. We've got Quantum there on the right-hand side as well as we go to this fast right-hander. Very hard to go side by side through this corner. However, we managed to make this work somehow. No idea how. Well played to the Brit on my right-hand side there. I'm trying to make sure I give them room as well as we head towards the really complex section here at Sardegna Windmills, where you slow it down and you sort of stay around third gear as we head towards the right-hander. Now, look at that. Everybody's all over the place, up ahead, side by side, absolutely everywhere as we continue on through here. Now, you want to get out of here as quick as you can, and we are in P9 right now. So we jump to lap number 2, chucking it into the left-hander, still with the big pack here as we continue on the inside line. Then we're going to continue on out of here on the right side. They've gone very wide here, and in fact it forces them into the fence. Well, we do manage to get one position there from the Belgium driver as we go into this left-hander, looking to slow the car down. We're behind Norman now. Up ahead, they are sideways nearly into the barrier there, the German up ahead, but they managed to throw it out of there very quickly as we fast forward a little bit now towards the complex section here as we go into here. So a lot of people really attack this one. I slow this one down a lot here because I feel like, as I say, going forward is better. And we got Norman on our inside there as we accelerate towards the left-hander, keeping it nice and tight here. Just trying to maintain that speed a little bit as we continue on through here. And there we go, up into P7 we go then as we advance to lap number 3 into the fast section. We go through the fast right as we continue on, trying not to understeer too much, but we do there. Look at that, we have to really lift off to avoid the barrier. Behind there, Norman catches up to me very quickly here. Going to be on my inside line there for this left-hander, so I slow it down, knowing that Norman was going to send it, but Norman stops it there. Beautiful move by the Polish driver, and we could drop down into P8. You don't really see me lose 200%. Oh, I've got it back there. Blue Racer, absolutely sideways. Well, I'll look at the bloopers in terms of what happened to Blue Racer there. That could be the common situation where you clip the fence on the inside, but we will wait and see. So, lap number 4 here then, headed back towards the complex section there. You can see the field is spreading out a lot here. Shadow has just gone in the lead there. Look at that, Shadow absolutely flying as we go into this right-hander. And then the left there, they're fighting up ahead. Audi versus Subaru. It's old school rallying here as we continue on out of there then. And we advance to lap number 5. Once again, the same situation. They're still fighting up ahead. We're staying with them. It's sort of like a 5-way fight here with Blue Racer and the Belgian driver behind cab driver there as we go into this left-hander. Again, look at this. We're trying to keep it tight. Accelerate out of here as quick as we can. Adjusting that throttle. We do get alongside Mario Sonic, but we don't quite get the position here as we continue on through then. And we're going to get to these jumps. So these jumps are absolutely crazy. Look at that. The front end just goes. Mario Sonic nearly... How did Mario Sonic catch that? I do not know. It was fully sideways there, 90 degrees sideways, and still managed to keep going forward. Well played, Blue Racer gets on my inside then through the left-hander. You notice that I slid too much, lost a lot of speed there in terms of Mario Sonic and Blue Racer getting on my inside, but we managed to maintain P7 right now as we go to this left-hander, looking to get the car on the inside and keep it on the inside to maintain a position. Mario Sonic into the cliff there on the right-hand side. We continue on towards the end of the lap. Once again, these jumps, look at that. Front just flies over. Mario Sonic this time doesn't catch the spin. Does spin on the line though. Unfortunately, we do not get that position. However, that is the end of the race. And look who wins the Finnish driver, Shadow, in the WRX Group B car. I'm going to 5.5. All the details of how this race is scored are down below. Not my cup of tea personally, but I'm not a fan of rallying in Gran Turismo anyway. But you might be, and that race is there for you. Right, in terms of a lap guide, then this is from a previous week because we have been here before. And as we head in towards this one, we got the marshal there on the right side. Really good mark here. So you're sort of attacking this corner, you flat out into it, and then we started lifting. What we want to do then is chuck it left when we get to that marshal, okay? That should mean we don't understeer too much towards the outside or turn in too early. Look how close we get to the barrier there, but we remain in 6th gear to keep the momentum going forward. As we get towards this right-hander, we then drop a gear, go to 5th gear. It's all about dropping gears and keeping the momentum. So as we get to this tree on the right-hand side, we drop down to 4th gear. Now, this is where you want to sort of maintain a nice slide. Not too much of a slide, but sort of nice 4-wheel drift around this corner and try and maintain the speed. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here in this Subaru in 4th gear. As we go to here then, letting the car roll, and now look at this, trying to maintain that speed. So up and down on the throttle there as we continue to go through here, trying to get towards that inside line. It's a really quick line here if you can get on the grass on that inside and then accelerating out of the corner. We head over towards the right-hand side here. You want to keep this really nice and tight now. And we've got a GoPro fence there. You could use the tree as well if you want to. But this is where you drop a gear and then you want to chuck it left. Now, the reason for that is because we're about to do a little bit of a jump. So if the weight's already transitioned into the right-hand side of the car should get around the left-hander, which is coming up much more easy than when we're pointing right. So there we go. We go towards the left side. I did hit the brakes there a little bit, but notice there the forward momentum. It was a 4-wheel drift nicely through there as we continue now into the fast section here. A little bit of jumps here as we go to here. Just be careful about turning in too early here. I did that in the race, as you saw, and I had to really lift off because of the understeer, and we continue now flat out. So we got the first hail bale on the right, the end of the hail bales there on the right side, to the second lot essentially. That is your brake marker for this left-hander. Now, some of you are going, Tidge, that's way too early. Like I said in the race, this is one where I feel like if you brake a bit earlier and just try and really control the car, you're actually going to benefit from absolutely yeeting it in, because the yeeting means less consistency. So we stay in 3rd gear for this one, keep it nice and tight. Again, look how we're trying to maintain forward momentum here by not sliding too much as we go to this left-hander. Look at that, we're not sliding, we're just letting the car get round into the out of the corner then. 3rd gear up to 4th then. And as we go through here, what we're going to want to do is try and control the car over the jump. So the first one there, it's not too shabby. Second one, well, it's a little bit better. And I'd argue that's probably because of a different physics, because that was quite a while ago, that lap. But even so, just control it as you go over them. We've already jumped to Daily Race B here then, and we are in that Group 4 car. The Nissan GTR, you can pick any Group 4 car, in fact. It's 5 laps of rolling starts on racing hard tyres, and you can adjust the brake balance in these cars. Now, in terms of this race, I chose the Nissan because it is very much the dominant car in Group 4 right now. The 4-wheel drive system is just very aggressive and allows you to be aggressive as well. In terms of key statistics here, we've used the track 14 times. Only 4 times for this track car combo. Definitely not in the top 10 used combo. And we last used Interlagos on 27th of January 25. Turn 1 is definitely dive central. Be careful of that. And the penalty line is extremely harsh here because it's uphill on the back straight, on the start finish straight. Sorry, not the back straight. So it does mean you lose a lot of time. So 1 second can very much be 2 seconds plus very, very quickly. Without further ado then, let's jump into this race and let's have a look exactly what happens, because this time we're not rallying. Right, here we are then at the stars. We've got lots of GTRs in this one. P1, P2, P3, and finally something different in P4 there, the Alfa Romeo with Mario Sonic. Now, if you're enjoying this video, as always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay in touch with all the latest content here. But without further ado, we're kicking off this race with me coughing, apparently, into my sleeve. So we head down in towards turn 1. Rolling start here does mean there's not much side-by-side action. But as we go through here, it's going to get very close very quickly. Look at this, we're so close to that Ferrari. But this GTR is so strong. It's strong in the straight line. It's strong in the corners. It really is a dominant car in Group 4 right now. As we continue down here, though, look at this. They are 3, maybe 4 wide here. It's getting very close up ahead. And as we go down into here, then Nissan gets pushed off into the grass. Manages to catch it. Then Shelty is a victim in all of that. Going to lose, what's that, 3-4 places here as we continue on through it into P12 right now. Alongside Blue Racer here on the right side. The GTR there, Ewan maintains. But I don't know how you saved that, Ewan, as we go into this right-hander. Behind there are 3 wide there. Mass Power on the outside in the Porsche Cayman. Brave for Shelty picking the Scirocco as well as we go into the complex section here at Interlagos, and it all starts to slow down. Max Power on the inside there. Slight tap between me and Bahamas. That is nothing major in the slightest. As we continue on through here, then Max Power actually benefits from that. Then defends on the inside. Can't go anywhere here. As I look here towards this right-hander, the understeer then happens as we continue on through. Max Power gets another position there from Bahamas. No. Not quite then. Bahamas on the inside then, and Max Power as we continue on through here. What a start to this race. Absolute scenes here as we go into the final corner, and then it all starts to settle down then. And what we're going to do, fast forward a little bit here, because of course slipstream at the end of the straight is where it matters here. Max Power goes towards the inside line. I'm catching Bahamas now in that slipstream as well. I'm looking on the inside here. Decide to make it 3 wide. Why not? Well, we do have to back out of that a little bit then. Max Power is actually going to get the position there, and Bahamas maintains that P12 then as we continue on through here. But we are very close to that Lamborghini Huracan, not the Meta car anymore, the Lamborghini. However, it's still looking quite strong here as we look to the left-hand side of that car. And you can see the difference in power here. The GTR still pulling right now. We're alongside the Huracan, even though it's in the slipstream here. Hard on the brakes. We get it stopped there, and we do go up into P12. Norman up ahead has a 1-second penalty. We'll see the damage of that now on this on the start finish straight. Keep calling the back straight. The 1-second penalty. Look at that. Uphill. You lose so much time there. Well over a second. Norman's already a second behind here and still trying to accelerate to catch up. It's huge here, so don't get penalties for track limits at all. So I give Max Power a bit of a bump here, so I'm trying to use a bit of strategy then. Get as close as possible as we head towards turn 1. I'm looking for the second red canopy on the left-hand side, but we'll talk about that in the lap guide. However, the canopies are not there, and we do get the position. Up into P10 we go. There's Blue Racer, who we saw in lap 1. Well, we finally catch up to in lap number 3 here as we go hard on the brakes. Purple sector there. That's nice to see. And up ahead, the Belgian driver's got very wide there. Has Mick comes back on the circuit then. Recovers it very nicely. Blue Racer gets the run. And because I've got such a run here as well, I'm going to try and follow Blue Racer down the inside of the Ferrari then. We're going to go onto the brakes. Do we get it stopped? Yes, we do. So we are now in the top 10 then. P9 we are as we head to that intersection here at Interlagos. We'll fast forward this bit. Not much happening then. As we head to this next right-hander, we slow it down. And as we go through here, GTR up ahead, the Spanish driver just understeers out wide there a little bit. That forces everyone to sort of clump up together. I can't speak today with this cold, I really can't. As you can see, it gets very close. Mick sends it down the inside there. Is Mick going to get it stopped? Does indeed. Well played. Good effort there from the Belgium driver. Gives me room on the exit as well, which is nice to see. Remember, you can send it in racing. That's a perfect send there. Doesn't quite work out, though, for the Ferrari driver with the GTR being so powerful on a straight here. And we do maintain the position here. And we've actually got the run on Blue Racer as we continue towards the start-finish line. About to start lap number 4 then. And it's about to get very tasty for you folks. So as we head down here, then they all stick towards the left-hand side here. I try and go around the outside. Realize it's not going to happen, so I'll back out of that completely. And I'm going to take the race in line. The GTR, though, pushes Blue Racer off. Not sure what's going on there, but I sort of half saw it coming, and I actually benefit from that and get both positions from then. So up into P7 I go here. Max Power getting involved as well. Gets 2 positions. They're side by side with Blue Racer, but we're looking ahead to see what we can do. But unfortunately, we do not catch up to Ewan. We do get closer. Well, not quite enough there. We do get the fastest lap at the end, though, and we finish in P7. Quite a good race. Lots of racing action here for sure. So if you are after that, then the score there, 6.5 as well. It seems that race beat is always 6.5 at the moment. I did notice that. So maybe I need to review that. I don't know. But it makes sense with the point system as well. In terms of the lap guide then, so this first corner, very hard to explain, okay? So in time trial mode, the stairs, the grey stairs, very hard to see in terms of this video, but they're very much there. It's after the 100 board. In the race, there are 2 red canopies. The second red canopy on the left is your brake marker, okay? You can see the stairs a bit better there. I use the stairs. Yes, it's very hard to see here, but I use it every single time without fail. I'll drop to second gear. I've used all of the corner, and I want to stay in second gear a little bit here, and then lift off a little bit for the right at the turner S. The reason I stay in second gear is because the GTR loves high revs. You get into the high revs, guess what happens? The car rotates. So you need to abuse the gears a little bit in this Nissan GTR. We get to the end of sector 1 then, and what we're looking for here is a couple of markers that you can use. The 100 board, the end of the wall on the right hand side, but what I use is the escape road. The more left of the squares that I've highlighted right there. So as I approach that, I'm going to hit the brakes, okay? I'm going to drop to third gear, but I want to stay towards the outside. I really want to maximize the angle of this corner because I want to accelerate very quickly. I use 70 miles an hour as a guide there in terms of apex speed in this GTR. Of course, if you're using a different car, that very well will vary, but 70 miles an hour seems like a good apex speed to aim for. We tear it out of there, and on the left-hand side, we have a marshal box. That is your brake marker for this corner. Now, this is a double apex corner. What does that mean for you new people to Gran Turismo or racing in general? It means I want to hit the corner twice. It's got 2 apexes. So I've got the first one. I'm then going to go out a little bit and then hit the second one. Let me show you how that's done. So here we go. We hit the first one. We go out a little bit. We then start to accelerate and want to hit the second curve. If you do it like that, that is perfect. We then head towards this right-hander. Now, we've got the McDonald's tyre marks that I call them. Very much a brake marker. They're always there as well. My brake marker for this right-hander. I brake just before I get to them, and you can see that right here. And I want to sort of brake in a straight line. If you brake and turn in this GTR, it just starts to understeer due to the weight transfer. Notice that I release the brakes and start turning. We accelerate a little bit here, and at the start of the curb on the left-hand side, I'm going to hit the brakes again. I want to trail brake more for this corner. I really want to get the car around as quick as I can. So, trail braking is literally not braking 100%, maybe 50%, maybe 40%. We'll see what I do in terms of this here. But trail braking is a very good technique you can use in Gran Turismo. There we go. Look, trail brake. Now we will let the car roll a little bit. And the second that the inner green appears on my screen there on the left-hand side, I start to accelerate. That is my accelerating marker at this corner. Because it's a hairpin, I can't see the exit yet. But I know if I see that, I should be able to accelerate and get out the corner. Notice the gear. I'm in the second gear there. Again, maximum revs in this car to really abuse the rotation of it. We head up to this right-hander. Now, we've got 2 brake markers here. We've got the left-hand side. We've got the dark green stuff there. On the right, we've got the curve. Either of these 2 markers are good markers for this corner. Now, one thing I did struggle with in this car is that if I hit the brakes a little bit too late in this car, I will just understeer off a little bit in terms of into the corner. So brake in a straight line and then release as quick as you can. Notice it started to understeer there and then released it. The car wanted to turn. Get on the throttle instantly and you should be absolutely fine because you can be so aggressive in this car. It's all-wheel drive, remember, and flat out through the left-hander as we approach the final corner. Now, on the right side, in the catch fence, there is a cross. The cross is my brake marker. I'm braking before it hits the edge of my screen on the right-hand side. Now, we've talked about abusing gears throughout this lap. This is the same for this corner. I'm going to drop the second gear and then go to third gear very early in terms of shifting. Look, let's we clip the curb and then third gear out of the corner. Accelerate all the way to the line now. Not a problem at all. And you can follow this lap on the leaderboard at 137.855. That is it in terms of Daily Race B. We jump to Daily Race C then, where if you can't already tell by that corner, we're at Daytona Road Course. And we are in Group 3 cars, if you can't already see. They appear right now. We're doing 10 laps of running starts, racing medium tyres, and you do have to pit at least once here. You don't necessarily have to change tyres, but we'll talk about that in the race. Times 2 fuel, times 6 tyre wear, and of course the bop is on, but you can adjust that brake balance. Now, in terms of the key statistics here, we've used this track 9 times. 5 times for this track and car combo. It's not a top 10 used combo, and we last used Daytona on the 30th of December 24. In terms of issues, the chicane track limit can be very annoying, so do keep an eye out for that. We'll talk about that in the lap guide. Slipstream is even more important now more than ever because the performance of these cars have been nerfed a little bit. You can get in the slipstream, you can actually really get towards the top end speeds again in these Group 3 cars. Without further ado then, I'm going to jump into this race. I'm in that Dodge Viper GT3R there, and let's have a look exactly what happens. Here we are then at the start of the final race. Bilson starting in pole position. Nice to see you there. I'm starting down in P13 in that Viper. And if you are enjoying this video, as always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay in touch with all the latest content. Shadow gets absolutely swamped by me here. That Alpha definitely doesn't have a good acceleration compared to this Viper. But we head towards turn 1 on the outside, which is a very scary prospect. So I do back out that completely. I did not want to be on the outside with cold tyres. And we remain in P13 for now. But Shadow gets on the inside of Blue Racer up ahead. So McLaren looking quite strong here. I nearly picked the BMW that Ewan's in. But I decided that, well, originally I went in the Lexus. Saw the Viper was doing well. I was like, that Viper will be good enough for this race. Absolutely, I'm sure. We continue on out of here then, remaining in P13. I'm in the Italian tried around the outside there, but actually losing position to max power as we go towards the kink then and the right-hander here. So everyone going towards the inside spot. Do you know what? I'll try around the outside. Forgetting I had cold tyres. So I go off the circuit here. I managed to come back on in a nice way here. Max Power gets ahead of me. The Italian gets ahead of me as well. And I drop to P15. I seem to be losing positions in this week's video. So we're on the inside of the Italian then as we go through this corner. I keep it nice and tight onto the banking to make sure I keep that inside line. And we do regain that P14 position. Not quite P13, but at least we only lost 1 spot, bearing in mind the mistakes that we've made. So we head towards the chicane here. I'm braking a bit earlier than normal because I want to get the exit right. Now, this is critical on this race. The exit is far more important than the entrance to that chicane. I'll explain it in the lap guide as well, but you can see the run we got there on max power. However, I don't want to lose the pack here, so I decide to bump draft max power, whose names decide to book out here and went towards the right side there on the banking, which looked very odd. Max Power goes towards the left-hand side, but comes back on the circuit. I think Max Power was going to go in the pits. However, it's not always the best idea on lap number 1, depending on tyres. However, if you do get a penalty, jump into the pits will actually save you a little bit of time because you don't have to then accelerate up to top speed again, down that start-finish straight and towards turn number 1. Now, we went around the outside of you in there. I did enjoy that move, so we will take that as we continue on in this race. So we're behind Shelty then in the Peugeot VGT. That car's looking very quick in a straight line. It, of course, won't handle as well as this Viper. But straight line-wise, it should be able to overtake nearly everything then. So in towards the right we go then. And there's been a Viper off somewhere. No idea what happened there. We'll look at that one in the bloopers. But we managed to gain a position. You can see there, Shelty's just gone there at this point in time. So PGN there has taken a penalty. Goes towards the right hand side. I appreciate that. That's really nice. You didn't have to do that at all. But I will take that, and a big thank you for doing that. So we're now under 3 seconds to the lead, and we're P9. P9, folks, which is pretty insane, isn't it? So the pack is very close here. Again, I go for bump drafting, Shelty. This is what I highly recommend you do. Look at where you can benefit in terms of bump drafting. Working as a team here as we go into, well, we're going towards the next lap. Under 2 seconds to the lead now. Under 2. And we were P9 at the time, but some people got in the pits at the end of lap 4 there. We are going to continue on here as we go onto the brakes. And Shelty, unfortunately, goes a little bit deep here as we go on the inside. Now, some of you were saying, well, you pushed Shelty off. I didn't. You know, it's one of those where we were just bump drafting, working together as we continue to lap number 5. Shelty's going to put that in the comments now. I guarantee it, Shelty puts in the comments, but it's always nice to see you, Shelty. Right, lap number 5. So most people were going to come in the pits this lap, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to do an extra lap here. And I sort of saw the guys ahead and thought, you know what, that's a good gap that we can build up here. So we'd catch up to them a bit too quick, in my opinion. I didn't want to catch up to them very quickly. I was hoping to catch them on the second part of the banking that we are going to go to in a second. The Shadow's in the Alfa Romeo. I know that will have good tyre wear here just because it's an MR car, whereas the FR car of the Viper is going to struggle with the front. So, of course, we are going to come in on this lap. That was always going to be my decision. Now, Shadow gets on the inside here. Noma's looking to come back across. Doesn't get it quite right there, and eventually does come back across, and then it starts bump drafting Shadow. And I thought, excellent, this is going to work out very nicely indeed. We should be able to jump the guys behind. Well, that was my hope anyway here. So, we're going to go for the bump draft, and then Norman goes towards the inside, and this confused me a little bit. You can see there I put my hands up. That's my live reaction at the time, because for me it's going to cost us more time than it's worth there in terms of the pack behind. But anyway, it is racing. You're allowed to do whatever you like there. It's just not a decision I would have made on this particular lap because we're trying to beat the pack behind. However, I didn't know if they were going to pit or not, and neither of them pit. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to come in the pits, and I am going to change tyres in this Viper. I figured that a change of tyres will benefit me at the end of the race. I'll have the freshest tyres compared to the big pack, so hopefully I can make some moves on the infield and really work my way through. However, the exit of this pit lane, right? So look at what's going to happen. Everybody's going to go on past me. Now, if I didn't change tyres, I'd come out ahead of this pack. However, because I did change tyres, I've come out right in the thick of the action. We have come out ahead of Shelty here, so it's sort of where we left it when they pits on the previous lap. However, I did want to get further ahead. And I would argue that sort of overtake Norman did on the back straight there did actually cost us, and we would have actually been further in this pack. But even so, could be a benefit in disguise. Let's see what happens. So Bilson's stuck on the outside right now. We're looking to get on the inside. Bilson then has a bit of a moment there, and we did benefit from that, so we go up into P9. Bilson backs out of this, which you could argue is smart. You could argue that they could have gone for it. It's a bit of an interesting one. I personally would have done what Bilson did there because it's better to just go for the larger fight here, which is stay with the pack, and then we can see what happens later on in the race. So we are getting towards the tail end of this race right now. Norman and Shadow are still out here, so I decided to bump draft Blue Racer here so that we can actually work our way towards the front. Now, Blue Racer's going to go off the move on the right-hand side then. The leg keeps towards the left-hand side, and notice that I'm lifting off. I'm trying to get out of the way. I'm preparing for the exit of the chicane, not the entrance. So these two go side by side into here. Very hard to do there. You can see this contact, and because I prep for the exit, we're actually going to get the run on Blue Racer here very quickly. Bilson follows me through there. Really smart stuff. Now we're going to get in the bump draft of Villa. Now, in terms... Sorry, not bump draft, the slipstream. Tidge, sort out your language, you pleb. Right, Bilson's going to bump draft me here, and this is really smart. This is so smart for Bilson. Knowing the Viper is quicker in a straight line, bump drafts me, knowing that Bilson's going to get ahead. It's beautiful racing. Beautiful move there by Bilson. It benefits me as well, which is kind of nice, but, you know, in the grand scheme of it, it's actually really smart racing there, and we do go up into P6 then, because Norman's in the pits, and Norman's coming out of the pits, and we are benefiting massively there from the undercut on Norman, and we are now up there, and we are going to be fighting. So up ahead we've got Ugando there, and Ugandan Commando, sorry, I'll get that right, and we got Mario Sonic. And as we go into here then, so these guys picked on lap number 4, and I did know this, I did take note of that when I was racing at the time. Now Ugandan just goes a little bit wide there on turn number 1, and as we exit here, we're side by side right now. This is good racing. So in this sort of situation, it's absolutely fine to race at Daytona. We're getting towards the end of the race now. Are we going to get any more positions from this moment in time? Probably not, but let's wait and see. So we exit the corner still side by side. I love this. Beautiful racing there with Ugandan Commando. Shout out to you there as we continue on here. Lap number 9 and onto the banking. So we catch up to Marisonic. Now, this was one where I sort of debated my decision there, and I actually think I made the wrong decision. You notice that I shake my head straight away because I know I've made the wrong decision there going for that move. However, we went for it. Now we have to do the consequences of our actions here. But we actually get through the chicane absolutely fine. You can see the gap we built behind. Remember, we've got 2 laps fresher tyres than those guys behind. I was hoping to pull away. However, you're about to see how strong this slipstream is. Look how close they get here. Ugandan goes to the left. Marisonic towards the right-hand side. Now, you could say that's off track there. As we go into here, then, I'm trying to just make sure I get on the inside of Ugandan. Marisonic tries to get on the inside. Ugandan gets a 1.5-second penalty. That's brutal there. And that's for going on the inside of the circuit there from gaining a position. So we go back up into P4 here. Marisonic's benefited from that. Up ahead there, Shadow has not changed tyres and come out. That is the strategy Shadow has used right now. And he's right behind Brown Banana. So this race is looking very nice here. Under 2 seconds towards the race lead. At this moment in time, I don't want to fight Marisonic. I reckon we can push towards them. So you can see here, I'm staying behind here. I'm not trying to fight this in the slightest. I'm literally looking to take the best line possible. We go into the right-hander here then. Ugandan's gone off the circuit there behind. No idea what's happened there. We'll have a look at that one in the bloopers. As we continue on out of here, we head towards the left-hander to start the banking. And look how close we are getting to the guys ahead. So I'm taking my no racing lines here. Marisonic's doing the nice and intelligent thing there. Defending because he's not sure exactly what I'm going to do. It's the final lap at Daytona. Anything really goes in this situation. You'll see a lot of fighting on this final lap because all the strategy of the race plays up to now. And notice that I'm bump drafting Marisonic. So I'm going to back out here. And again, the exit is critical here, not the entrance. So I'll back out of this to get the run. So through we go there. Shadow's the lead car at the moment. I know the Alpha's not as fast as the Viper in a straight line. So at the moment, I'm thinking, do you know what? Have we done this too... I've got a bit too far back here. Have we nailed this? I'm not too sure. But here we go. Right, so the strategy is playing out here. Slipstream is happening. Shadow up ahead. Brown Banana very close behind. Now, his Brown Banana's going to be too close then. Marisonic goes towards the right side. Now, I wasn't sure if to bump draft or not. So I thought, do you know what? I've got the run. Let's go for it. We head towards the line. It's going to be very close here. And we finish in P4. 1/10 covers the top 4 there. So that is a crazy finish. Expect quite a lot of these finishes this week then. But in terms of points, that race is 8.5 out of 10. It's a brilliant race, this one. It always is a good race here in terms of strategy with what you could do. You don't have to change tyres. You can change tyres. Do you want to go at it alone? Do you want to have teamwork? When do you place your car? Where do you place your car in terms of the final lap? It's all very good. Right, in terms of brake balance, +5. You can see that on the right-hand side as we head towards turn number 1. So you got the flag indicator up at the top. That is not your brake marker. That's to tell you to look for the white line that I've highlighted right there because that is your brake marker. So just after you pass that, you're going to hit the brakes. And you want to brake in a straight line as much as possible, which means turning towards the corner. Notice we brake in a straight line, and then we will release the brakes, and we can then rotate through the corner very nicely. Instantly on the throttle there. Because the Group 3s have reduced power, it does mean less power oversteer issues. We head towards the next corner then, and we have 2 markers we can use. We've got the one board on the right side. Alternatively, you have the yellow truck on the left-hand side. I was using the yellow truck, if you really want to know, but the one board is perfectly reasonable there on the right-hand side as well. You see our chase cam, one board is probably even better. The one board is better, actually, on chase cam. Looking at that right now. We drop second gear as we go into here. We're looking to get the car turned as quick as we can. Instantly on throttle. You do have to be careful on this exit. Second gear is where the car can suffer a little bit in terms of the bumps as well on the exit of that corner. We head towards the kink then. This is flat out in any Group 3 car. Not an issue here at all. And on the left-hand side, we have that dark patch of tarmac. Now, these cars have reduced power, as I've talked about already, with the new balance of performance. This means you're braking a little bit later in a lot of the corners because you're not carrying as much speed. So you're braking after that leaves the screen, okay? That dark piece of tarmac, after that leaves your screen, you're going to hit the brakes. I would brake in a straight line here, as we do right now. And then we release the brakes, and then we can start to turn the car. Again, be careful on exit of the throttle. This corner has a really bad bump on the exit there. Look at that oversteer. You can see that right now as we head towards the next corner. Now we have a choice of 2 markers here. On the right-hand side, we've got as the track veers off towards the right, basically turn 1. On the left-hand side, we've got the blue going into the white and blue. So either of these markers are brilliant markers for this corner. Now, there are 2 lines to take for this corner. There's a very tight line or the very wide line. I prefer the tighter line, but the wider line arguably could be better in certain scenarios. So notice that I'm trying to keep it nice and tight to get on the banking as quick as I can and basically just reduce the distance I'm actually taking. So this is all flat out as we head towards the bus stop chicane. So for the bus stop chicane, there's the 2 board. All right, we're going to stop it here. The flag indicator is right there. that is your brake marker. You have to brake before the one board which I've highlighted in the distance. This flag indicator, the perfect brake marker. Remember what I said in the race. You need to make sure you prepare for the exit. Forget about attacking the entrance of this corner. So I'm going to brake and I'm going to make sure I get the car turned in. Down the brakes in the middle of there and then I can start accelerating. As long as I hit the curbs there, I'm absolutely fine. As long as I stay on the yellow curbs, I won't get track limits. As you can see right now, the right side of my car is on the yellow curbs. I will not get track limits. So I can accelerate out of this corner knowing full well I'm absolutely fine. So we're going to head now towards the line as the end of the sector as well to know exactly how well you did the chicane. But we fast forward towards the end of the lap here. And you can follow this lap on the leaderboard. I think it's a 45.819. It's right there. I knew it was a 0.8. Right, bloopers time here. We're on board Blue Racer. What happened to Blue Racer in Daily Race A then? So as we head towards the left-hander... Oh, yeah, it was that fence. It's very common to do that mistake here at Sardegna Windmills. So just be careful of that on that hairpin. You try and cut it nice and tight. Now, look at this one. This is where it all got very close. We're on board Ewan right now. So as we go to here, Ewan gets pushed off into the grass, then goes into the back of Shelty. He goes into the back of the German. The German's the one who loses out the most. I did not realise that. Ewan manages to save it. Ewan doesn't need to waste up there. It's not on Ewan at all in the slightest. Now, we're on board the Spanish driver here. So this is where... oh, yeah, Blue Racer around the outside. I try around the outside. And what's going to happen here? They go full throttle. That's a really weird... Why would they do that? I have no idea why you would do that, to be honest with you, because you cost yourself a lot of positions there. It's a bit further on in the same lap now. So you've cost yourself a lot of positions. We've got Bahamas on the inside. And you're going to look to try and send it into this corner. Send it into this corner never works. So you slight tap on the Lamborghini. And I can see there you're sort of trying to avoid them, but it doesn't really work out. So you lose a few more positions. That makes sense. This one doesn't make sense, though, because you then send it again on Norman. I don't know why you keep sending it here. It's not going to work out. And, you know, it's been way too aggressive here, Paco Turbo. I'd bring it back a little bit with your aggression because you're actually causing quite a few incidents there, in my opinion. I don't think you're driving dirty. I just think it's more bad driving than dirty driving. Right, we're on board Shadow now. This is Daytona. So as we go into here, into the back of Aerosonic, and that sends that Viper off there. Now, does Shadow get a penalty? I assume not, because Shadow basically won the race. So, yeah, an interesting one there. That was definitely more on Shadow. We're going to jump on board Bilson then. So, Bilson is behind Ugandan Commando here. Yeah, that was a mistake on Bilson. Bilson tries to wait up there. Blue Racer, yeah, so this is one of those where people go, that's why you shouldn't wait up. But in this situation, I couldn't understand what was going on there. And that was just a mistake again there. But waiting up there, good sportsmanship from Bilson. So, shout out to you for that one. Right, we've got aboard Norman Power. Now, I saw this one. Shelty mentioned it got very feisty. So, Norman gets hit into the back of, and that sends him into the back of Villa here. So, I can understand, you know, Villa's probably there going, oh, my word, I've been hit into the rear. What I didn't like is just this reaction here to send Norman into the barrier, because it wasn't actually Norman's fault in the slightest. It really wasn't. Now, obviously, that's a reaction to that. So, we go aboard Easy Spin here. This is PGM. So PGM just gets this slightly wrong, and we're going to see this right here. So it goes off the brakes, just hits into Norman, and that sends Villa off. And you see there, PGM is just trying to make sure it stays behind Norman and Villa as well. You know, just doing the nice thing here. Arguably holding up Shelty as well, but, you know, trying to do the nice thing. So I don't think that reaction is warranted there, and that's why I always try and say to people, don't react. Revenge punting doesn't work. It really doesn't, because you've no idea exactly what happened there. That's going to be it for this video, though. I do hope you have enjoyed it. 2 videos there to check out. Do check out my partners down below, including GT Mega, and you can use code Tidgney at checkout. I have put some laps in the pinned comment as well if you want to follow my laps a bit more in detail. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.